Welcome back to my channel, my darlings. Today I am going to show you how to create this Victorian era 3-story diamond, platinum, and pearls rotating serving tray. Stay tuned. For this project, you are going to need 6 candlesticks, 1 large chrome-plated platter, 3 of the smaller chrome-plated platters, 2 cake pans, 1 container out of this 6-pack of storage containers, a bag and a half of marbles. Mine are in this Ziploc bag only because the mesh that they came in burst. For embellishment, you will need a 4-layer bling wrap, an 8-layer bling wrap, as well as a spool of pearl thread, and last but not least, the piece de resistance, this gem that I got from Michael's. I said yes, let's get crafting. Okay, so now the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to embellish the bottom of our Lazy Susan, or our rotating dish that we're going to make out of marbles and 2 cake pans. And the look I'm going for here is just bling wrap around the bottom. Again, we want to have everything look like it's a finished project and not that we're using cake pans and Dollar Tree items. And so what I'm going to do is, I apologize for being out of frame, what I'm going to do is just put down a thin layer of the E6000 glue, and I'm going to go around with the bling wrap to cover that pan, so really looking at it you don't know what it looks like, or rather what it is. Now already I can tell that I'm going to have a problem with this bling wrap, simply because of the shape of the pan. It is not a square pan, of course it is a round pan, and not only that, but the edge of the pan goes in somewhat. And so what I'm thinking that I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to cut this bling wrap and lay it down in pieces, because obviously working with a rectangular bling wrap trying to go around a circular cake pan is not going to cut it. And so as you can see here, I've cut my first strip of bling wrap, and then I'm gonna go in again, see how far around I can get with my second strip, and I'm just gonna keep cutting as I go. Alright, so I'm going to join this up somehow, see how that looks. I'm trying to get it to meet. Alright, so here it is. As you can see, I just scratched the bling wrap all together, and I chose instead to go with the flower embellishments. I just couldn't for the life of me get that bling wrap to lay down how I needed it to lay down. It looked too choppy, it was not meeting in the middle or where the ends were meeting, and so I opted instead to use the flower bling wrap. I've used this in one of my other projects before, and I cut it in rows of 6s, doubles, which made it 12s, and I went around the bottom of the cake pan like that. And so I prefer really how this looks. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to affix the bottom, or rather the top layer of our Lazy Susan onto our platter, and this is going to be the foundation for the Lazy Susan as well as the foundation for the entire serving tray. And this is simple. I'm just going to go around with my E6000 glue, which is going to give me, of course, that nice tight forever seal that we look for when we're completing DIY projects. And then I am going to go in with my glue gun to ensure that as I'm working I have an instant seal so that I can keep working and I'm not waiting for this glue to dry. One thing that I like with the E6000 glue is that of course it does not dry right away, and it gives you a few moments where you can play, position, see where you need to put stuff down. But then the hot glue at the same time is almost instant, and so when you're working with hot glue you have to know where you're putting your things. And so I'm just going to center this somewhat, make sure that it's centered in the middle, and I'm going to set this down, and immediately I have my instant hold because that hot glue is going to set almost right away. And then while that E6000 glue is drying, we can still keep working. So what I'm going to do now is I'm thinking, yes, I'm going to put down my marble so that I can give you just a quick run and show you what this is going to look like. Now, really and truly, you're really supposed to fill the bottom of this pan with marbles, but just so you can get a quick feel for what we're trying to do, I'm just going to fill it up partially, and you can see how that's wobbling. Once it is filled completely, you will not have that wobble because all of that space will be taken up. But this is what our Lazy Susan is going to look like, rather, or how it is engineered. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in to give our platter just another level of embellishment, kind of like from the Victorian age. When you think of that time, you think of lace and you think of pearls, and so just gently going around the edge with my hot glue gun and putting down these pearls so that there's another dimension of embellishment there. You guys know me, I'm all about my embellishments and levels and dimensions, and so just so we can give this platter another level up, another step up of elegance, I'm just going to go around and put this down. So now it's time for the minutia of this project, where we're going in and we're putting on the little tiny pieces on the little tiny parts. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking my bling wrap and I'm going to cover that storage container all the way around. Now I only need 7 layers for this, and that ribbon is an 8-layer ribbon. So what I did was I just cut off 1 layer, and now I should have enough of what I need to go around. And what I'm going to use this container for is I am going to use this container to top it off with that huge acrylic gem that I showed you guys in the beginning of the supplies. And this is going to be one of the embellishments and one of the platters or layers of the platters on the dish. And of course you'll be able to see this when the project is completed. And so just so that the plastic cup, of course, is embellished and it's not just sitting on top of a beautiful tray, not covered or anything. I'm just covering it with the acrylic wrap so that it will add for a seamless similarity of what's going on with the candlesticks and the bling that is covering those as well. Now we're not measuring before I put this on. As you can see, I have a little overlap, and which is an easy fix, crafters. I just go in with my scissors and cut off the portion that I'm not going to need, and voila, we are going to have the size that we need to complete this part of our project. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to embellish the bottom and the middle of our candlestick. It's almost like if we're getting this candlestick dressed up to go to a ball. So we are going to put on its shoes, if you will, and we are going to give it a bow tie, if you can think about it that way. So I'm just going to go in with my E6000 glue, and I'm going to use just a little, not too much of course, not too little that it doesn't stick, but a good enough portion so that that bling wrap will be secure and it will not budge. We want it to stay where it is and not fall off. So just going around the edge, that layer there at the bottom, not above it, but on the bottom layer itself. And like I said, what I like about the E6000 glue, it gives you time to cover, to put stuff away, to get what you need. And quite honestly, I like to leave it a little bit until it gets a little tacky, as opposed to just wet out of the package. And so I'm taking my bling wrap that I've somewhat pre-measured, and I'm just gonna take it and go around the bottom. Very easy, one layer. And that lip has, you know, a good amount of space where that bling wrap can sit. And so I'm just going to get this in position. And while we're waiting on that to dry, then I can go in and put on my bow tie around the neck of my candlestick. Now the thing about these candlesticks are they are beveled, as you can see, but not only are they beveled, they're kind of curved inward in the joints. And so when I was putting on the bling wrap on the necks of the other candlesticks, I realized that I was not working necessarily with a flat surface. And so what I had to do for a while was I had to hold those candlesticks until that portion of the neck, if you will, set up a little bit before I could have left it to dry on its own. And if you're going to recreate this project, you will see and understand what it is that I'm talking about. So very quickly, just going in, putting down a thin layer. We don't want it to be too wet. We don't need it to be too goopy. It's just to hold down some diamond wrap. And I'm going to go in with my diamond wrap, put that down in that space. That amount fits perfectly. That is 4 layers. And then you're going to see as I come around here, I'm going to have to play with it a little bit and try to get it in those folds and those creases and hold on to it just to make sure that it has a chance to set. So here we have now all of our completed candlesticks. We have 3 individuals, and I went ahead and I stacked the 3 others because we started to 6 to make that layer for our third and our highest column. And so now I'm just going to show you how I joined these candlesticks together, and pretty simple, just joining them at the necks where they got dressed up, bow tie to bow tie. And I'm going to go in again with some E6000 glue, and then on top of the E6000 glue, I'm just gonna hit it with a little bit of hot glue so that that drying and sealing process can get started right away. And then I am going to join them at the necks. And this was pretty easy in terms of getting it balanced and in terms of getting it straight, because like I said, because of the beveling and the corners and the angles, all we had to do was line those up. So now we have our first layer, our second layer, and the third layer that I already created for you to see. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to find the placement that we need in order to start building our serving tray. And of course the candlesticks fit perfectly by themselves, but we know that we have to join these candlesticks with some platters, and so it's going to take a little bit of finagling just to get them set right where we need them to be set, by measuring and moving and inching and, you know, moving things just a smidge so that we can see just how to place them. And so I've just placed my first or my shortest layer. I'm coming in now with my second layer, so you can already see that stacked look, just trying to find my placement. And then finally I'm coming in with my third layer just so that I can see how that works and how it's going to look. And I think I like that. So I'm just going to show you how I put these platters and these candlesticks together. I'm going to start, of course, with my shortest layer. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to, using eyeballing where I just picked it up from, I am going to put some E6000 glue on the bottom of that candlestick. And then I'm going to hit it with that hot glue again to make sure that while that E6000 is drying, that hot glue is going to seal it right away so that we can keep moving and not have to wait for things to get set up. And then I'm going to place it right where I took it from. And then I'm going to get the platter that I want to go on top of it. Not necessarily, they're all the same. And I'm going to hit now the top of that candlestick with some E6000 glue and my glue gun. And then I'm going to place that plate atop that candlestick. And so now that I think about it, what I should have done was place the candlestick, glue the candlestick to the platter, and then glue the candlestick down to the larger platter, but it's all good. And here I am holding it down to ensure that nice tight seal. And then now I'm going to do what I just said I should have done with the first one, and I'm gonna glue the candlestick with the E6000 and the hot glue gun down to the platter. And if you look at that platter that you can see there, I know I'm a little bit out of frame while I'm working, you can see that there is a pattern or a design there, and it's the same thing on the bottom. So finding the middle of these platters is very easy. And so I am going to now find the center, if you can see, and just set that right down atop where the center is. Now ideally, since I'm working with glass, I would have let these set up overnight before I continued, but I opted not to do that today. And so I'm gonna go in now with my third and my final layer. I'm putting my E6000 glue with a shot of my hot glue gun. I'm finding the center, and I am going to place that candlestick into the middle of that platter, holding it down just to ensure a nice tight seal. And now I'm going to turn them over so that you can see what they look like. That is my tallest layer, and then this is the middle layer. And now it's time to build. And here we have it, ladies and gentlemen, our 3-story, luxurious, glamorous, Victorian era set rotating serving tray. Yes, that was a mouthful, but it is all deserving. Isn't that beautiful? Diamonds, pearls, and platinums, 3 of a girl's best friend. And you can see that I set 2 other crystal bowls on there. They're not glued down, but just to finish that look, so all of that space was not empty. And then, as you can see, the gem that I got from Michael's, I just set it into the top of that cup. It is not glued down. It is a paperweight, so I promise you it is not going anywhere. But you can see how everything works together so seamlessly. Listen, I really enjoyed creating this project with you. If you enjoyed it just as much as I did, please be sure to leave me a comment in the comment section below, as well as to give this video a thumbs up. And if you are interested in seeing any more of my projects, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and click that notification button so that you will be sure to know when all of my videos are released. Listen, it has been a pleasure sitting and working with you guys today, my darlings, and until next time, I bid you farewell and I say be well.